I used to believe my life was solid, built on hard work, stability, and a sense of control. That belief shattered the moment I stepped into the airport, but I didn't see it coming. Not then. It was a Sunday morning like any other, calm, predictable, structured. I had my routine: wake up early, make a pot of coffee, check a few emails before the day's chaos. My wife, Melissa, was already on her phone, scrolling through Instagram, liking photos, replying to comments. Her morning routine was just as predictable, except hers revolved around social media and maintaining the illusion of our perfect family. I didn't argue anymore. For years, I had played the part of the successful husband, a corporate strategist with a six-figure salary, a luxury home in Santa Monica, and a wife who looked like she walked off a magazine cover. We had twin daughters, Emily and Grace, 5 years old and full of life. They were my world, my anchor. That morning, as I brushed Grace's curls and helped Emily find her favorite sneakers, I sensed something was off. Melissa was too eager, too cheerful. "His trip is going to be amazing," she said, sipping her oat milk latte and not even looking at me. "We'll take so many pictures. The girls will love the Disney hotel." She spoke like we were actors in some Instagram story, guests in our own life. I had grown used to that. The pose pictures, the curated perfection, the captions that never quite matched reality. I once believed our love was real, but now I wasn't sure. Still, I said nothing. I had learned a long time ago that silence was easier. As we packed, I glanced at the credit card statement on my phone, something I'd started doing in secret. There it was again. Designer purchases, spa treatments, private chauffeur services, the kind of spending that made me wonder where the money was coming from, because I sure as hell hadn't approved it, but again, I let it go, for the sake of the family. By noon, we were ready to leave. Melissa barely looked at the girls as they excitedly clutched their backpacks, but she checked her makeup in the hallway mirror. I should have known. I should have seen it. The way she lingered at the door, checking her phone again and again. The way she smirked when I said I'd drive separately since I had to stop by the office first. "You always have work, don't you?" she said with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. It wasn't a question, it was an accusation. And yet I brushed it off. I still believed we were leaving together. I didn't realize in that moment that Melissa had already planned everything. I didn't know that while I was checking my emails one last time, she was boarding the plane without me. I didn't know that my daughters, the two little girls who trusted us to protect them, were about to be abandoned in an airport terminal while their mother flew off to paradise. By the time I walked into LAX, that life was already gone. I felt the first prick of unease the moment I entered the terminal, not the usual pre-flight stress. This was something deeper. The airport buzzed with travelers, families in matching vacation shirts, honeymooners, kids dragging stuffed animals. But for me, something felt wrong. I wheeled my suitcase to the check-in counter and handed over my passport. The airline employee, a young woman with tired eyes, frowned. "Sir, your reservation isn't in the system." "That's not possible. My wife booked it. We're flying out today." "Why?" "Family trip." More typing, more silence. "Your reservation was canceled," she said finally. I let out a short laugh. There must be some kind of error. "My wife." She cut me off. "Your wife is already boarded." The world slowed. I stared at her, my brain struggling to process the words. "Melissa boarded without me." I pulled out my phone. There it was, a single message from Melissa. "You should be taking care of the kids." Attached was a photo. Emily and Grace sitting on a cold metal bench near the airport Starbucks, alone. Emily clutched her pink teddy bear. Grace's face was red, tear-streaked. I forgot how to breathe. Blood pounded behind my temples. "Sir," the airline employee asked, her voice muffled. I turned and ran, scanning every bench, every terminal seat. I shoved past people, ignoring their stares. Then I'd heard it, a small broken voice. "Daddy." I spun around. There they were, exactly like the photo. I dropped to my knees. "Daddy's here." Emily threw herself into my arms. Grace followed, trembling. I couldn't speak. I wanted to lie, to say their mom was coming back, but I couldn't. A voice behind me. "Sir, is everything okay?" An airport security officer. People were staring, whispering. "I need to file a report," I said. The officer nodded. "Let's take you to security. We'll make sure the girls are okay." As we walked, the truth hit me in full force. Melissa wasn't coming back. Not for me. Not for them. The officer, a woman named Sergeant Daniels, crouched to the girl's low. Hi there, sweethearts. Can I get you anything? Hot chocolate. Grace clung tighter. Emily shook her head. Daddy, where's Mommy? She whispered. I swallowed. We'll talk about that soon, baby. Sergeant Daniels sat across from me. Mr. Walker, we need to file an official report. Your wife, Melissa, left the children alone. Yes, I said. She boarded the flight without me. Her eyes hardened. Do you have someone who can take care of the girls? No, I said. They're staying with me. She nodded. Child Protective Services will be involved, but given the circumstances, they're unlikely to push for separation. She left to make calls. I turned to Emily and Grace. Grace gripped my sleeve like a lifeline. Mommy said she'd be right back, Emily whispered. I didn't have an answer. My phone buzzed. A new message from Melissa. The children are in your care now. The 529 plan documents are in the safe at home. This is our last chance. What the hell is she talking about? Then another message, a photo. Melissa and Marcus, her business partner, the one she always claimed was just a friend, smiling, champagne in hand in Hawaii. They were already celebrating. I felt ice in my veins. Melissa had sent it like a parting gift, a final, unapologetic middle finger. Emily watched me. Are we still going on the trip? Not today, baby. But Mommy said. She was wrong, I said, harsher than I meant to. I softened. She made a bad decision, but you're safe now. I took them home, settled them into bed, then made my calls. First, my lawyer, then a financial investigator. If Melissa had drained our daughter's college fund like she hinted, this was worse than I thought. I opened our bank statements. Gone. Over $500,000 from the 529 plan. Withdrawn in 3 months. Luxury purchases, private jets, transfers to offshore accounts. She even emptied my personal savings, $775,000. Gone. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. The next day, I drove to Melissa's office. Closed. Shut down. A former employee let me in. Melissa, she's gone. The company's bankrupt. Marcus, her lover. They scammed everyone. Investors, employees, even her family. She hadn't just left. She burned everything down before walking away. That night, I tucked the girls into bed. Is Mommy coming home soon? Grace asked. I shook my head. No, sweetheart. But I promise I'll never leave you. And I meant it. Melissa thought she'd won, but she forgot one thing. She'd left the mess behind. And I was going to make damn sure she paid for it. The next morning, I was already awake before the sun rose, not because I wanted to be, but because I couldn't sleep. The weight of what Melissa had done pressed down on me like a physical force. This wasn't just personal anymore. It was criminal. The college fund was gone. Our savings looted. Her company bankrupt. And Melissa was nowhere to be found. No more waiting. No more pretending. I called my lawyer. Then, while we were talking strategy, the doorbell rang. I glanced at the clock, 7:42 a.m., too early for anything good. 2 men stood on my porch, suits, badges clipped to their belts. Mr. Walker? One said. I nodded. Come in. Agent Keller introduced himself, mid-40s, sharp-eyed, a man who'd seen things. The younger one, Agent Dawson, was all business. We need to talk about your wife. I assume this is about the offshore accounts. You're aware? Dawson asked. She drained everything. The kids' education fund, my personal savings, her company accounts. Keller exhaled. It's worse than that. He slid a folder across the table. I opened it and felt my stomach twist. Wire transfers, shell companies, fake loans, Cayman Islands. She wasn't just stealing, Dawson said. She was laundering money. This was planned, Keller added, months in advance, every detail. Escape, I asked. They both nodded. She and Marcus flew to Honolulu, but they also booked a one-way ticket to the Caribbean. My hands curled into fists. She wasn't just leaving me. She was disappearing. She wasn't planning to come back. Not for you. Not for the kids, Keller said. I stood there trying to process it all. She's facing multiple charges, Keller continued, wire fraud, money laundering, tax evasion, most importantly, child abandonment. What happens now? We've issued an international warrant. She's not going to hide for long. She thinks she's untouchable, I muttered. That's what they all think, Heller said, until the cuffs go on. When they left, I stood in silence. My home didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. Melissa had walked out, but her destruction was everywhere. I looked over at the couch where Emily and Grace had curled up the night before, their tiny shoes by the door, crayon drawings scattered on the table. They had no idea how close they'd come to being left with nothing. She thought she could run. She had no idea who she was dealing with. 2 days passed in a haze of legal meetings, investigators, and sleepless nights. Then the call came. I was in the kitchen staring at a cold cup of coffee when my phone rang. FBI. Agent Keller. We got her, he said simply. Where? Hawaii. Hilton Hawaiian Village. We caught them having breakfast by the pool. The audacity of it made my blood boil. Melissa and Marcus sipping mimosas, eating eggs Benedict like nothing happened, like they hadn't abandoned their children. They used a credit card. It triggered an alert. Keller explained, we moved in immediately. Vanessa Reed, Marcus Holloway, you're under arrest. It was done. The trial came quickly. The Los Angeles County Courthouse was packed. Reporters, cameras, spectators. The case had gripped the city. Socialite turned criminal. I walked in, suit pressed, chin high. Not for revenge. For justice. For my daughters. Melissa sat at the defense table, wearing a beige prison uniform. Her posture was perfect, her expression blank. But I could see it, the cracks forming. The prosecution pulled no punches. They played the airport footage. The moment Melissa walked away from Emily and Grace without looking back. The courtroom went silent. For the first time, I saw something shift in her eyes, fear. Then her turn to speak. She stood slowly, smoothing the uniform. Her voice soft, calculated. I never meant to hurt my children. I lost control. I made mistakes. She turned to me. Jonathan, please. But I didn't move. I didn't blink. I'd heard that voice before, when she wanted something. This time it meant nothing. The prosecutor stepped forward. You drained your children's college fund. You opened offshore accounts. You forged signatures. You stole from your own mother-in-law. And then you abandoned your daughters at an airport and tried to flee to the Caribbean. That was it, the final blow. The jury's faces hardened. The judge leaned forward. Would the defendants please rise? Melissa stood. Marcus didn't even lift his head. Melissa Reed, you are hereby sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. A collective gasp swept the room. Marcus, 15 years. But all I saw was Melissa, her face pale, her lips trembling. Please, she whispered, but the judge was already speaking. Court is adjourned. The gavel hit. It was over. She turned to me one last time. Jonathan, but I walked out without a word. Outside, the reporters swarmed. Mr. Walker, do you have a statement? I looked into the cameras. This isn't a victory. This is justice. Then I went home because Emily and Grace were waiting for me. And they were the only thing that mattered now. For the first time in a long time, I woke up without a weight on my chest. Melissa was gone. From my house, my life, my future. She was sitting in a cell. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, watching the sunlight spill through the windows as Emily and Grace giggled over cereal. It was quiet, simple, ours. The next day I made a decision, no more waiting, no more holding back. I'd redid the guest room, painted the walls soft lilac and sky blue, let them pick their bedding. Emily chose stars. Grace picked unicorns. We filled the room with books, toys, glow-in-the-dark stickers. When we were done, I stood in the doorway and just watched them. Is this really ours? Emily asked. I knelt beside her. Forever, I said. That night, I tucked them in. Daddy, Grace whispered, half asleep. We don't have to leave, right? Never. Emily blinked up at me. Even if Mommy comes back. I swallowed. She's not coming back. Grace smiled. Good. Emily didn't say anything, but she smiled too. They finally felt safe. The biggest change wasn't the house, or even the custody papers I signed the next day. It was me. I had spent years thinking that providing for them was enough. But now I learned the small things mattered more. I learned to braid Grace's hair badly at first. I cut Emily's sandwiches into stars. I showed up at every pickup, every recital. I wasn't just the man who paid the bills. I was Dad. Weeks later, I got a letter from Melissa. I didn't open it. I tossed it in the trash because our story wasn't about her anymore. It was about us, and we were just getting started. 1 year later, life had settled into something beautiful. I had rebuilt our lives piece by piece. The trauma, the courtrooms, the headlines, they were behind us. Then one morning, my phone rang. Los Angeles Correctional Facility. I stared at it, thought about letting it go to voicemail. But curiosity won. Jonathan Walker? Yes. Your ex-wife, Melissa Reed, has been granted parole. She was released this morning. I froze. I had known this day would come. She was too good at playing the victim. But I wasn't the same man she left behind. 3 days later, she showed up at my doorstep. I had been expecting her. She stepped out of a cab, wearing a plain gray dress, no jewelry, her hair dull, face tired. Jonathan, she said. I didn't speak. She glanced at the house. Are they inside? They don't want to see you. Please, they're my daughters. I stepped forward. No, they were your daughters. You lost that right. Tears welled in her eyes. I made a mistake. I was scared. No, I said. You were selfish. I just want to see them. I didn't move. Go. She stiffened. You can't do this. I stepped closer. Go, Melissa. She searched my face one last time, but she found nothing. She turned, got in the cab, didn't look back. And as I watched her drive away for the last time, I felt nothing. Not anger, not regret, not relief. Just peace. That night, I sat on the couch with Emily and Grace watching a Disney movie. Grace curled up beside me. Daddy. Yeah, baby. We're always going to be together, right? I kissed her forehead. Always. Emily smiled. Even if Mommy comes back. She's not coming back. And for the first time in a long time, we were free. We were safe. And we were finally whole again.